Well, hello, Laura, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on the webinar today.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, first of all, when were you diagnosed with Wilson disease, and what was the situation for you? Everybody has such a different story.
Okay, I actually had to look back at when it was. It's a long time ago. But in 1998, I was diagnosed. I was actually attending one of the national dietetic conferences in Washington, D.C., and had a cholesterol check there and found out that my cholesterol was under 100, which is extremely low. So they said, better see your doctor when you get home to Milwaukee, which is what I did. Saw my regular doctor, who sent me after some lab tests to a gastroenterologist, who said this is either an autoimmune disease or Wilson's disease, but Wilson's disease is very rare, so that would be not typical. I was diagnosed with Wilson's then after the liver biopsy. So that confirmed my diagnosis. And I definitely was, had the hepatic side of the disease. Some people have the neurological, but I clearly have the hepatic, where they're monitoring the liver enzymes.
So you were put on one of the chelators at that time. And what were you told about diet? What were you told about copper in the diet and what to do?
Right. Pretty much he said, you're going to follow a low copper diet, the best that you can. They gave me a handout of a list of foods with copper in it and said, try to stay under 2 milligrams a day and record what you're taking in for a few weeks, just to see where we're at and how much we need to reduce to get to the 2 milligrams. But basically the rule of thumb at that time was to avoid the high copper foods, like the shellfish, the nuts, the chocolate, the mushrooms. I miss the mushrooms more than the chocolate. So I still do eat some of those foods, and I am being monitored twice a year with labs and the 24-hour urine.
Okay, now you are also a registered dietitian, which means we are trained to identify nutrients in food and help people follow special diets. Even though you're a dietitian, did you find it challenging to avoid high copper foods and understand high, medium, low, what to do?
Absolutely. Dietitians are great at giving the information, but following the advice is another story. I actually looked back at a textbook, and there's less than a paragraph about Wilson's disease. So there isn't a lot of information, and thank goodness for the Wilson's Disease Association providing more information, but it's misleading. And I think it's challenging to figure it out. And every person handles it different based on their situation. So I think I am in close contact with my GI doctor, and as long as things are going well, I feel like I'm following the best that I can.
Let's dig in a little bit to the food arena here. And you mentioned shellfish. You were in Milwaukee, maybe not a lot of shellfish on the menu. Well, of course, you can get them anywhere now.
Right.
But the thing is, like, even those charts, you look at them and you think, well, where were these potatoes grown? Where was this shellfish from? Is it dark chocolate? Is it milk chocolate? Again, as a dietitian, what were the questions you had in your mind?
Yeah, when you do a lot of digging and research into this, you see that the copper content of even a potato varies by the climate and the type of soil that is involved. So there's a lot of variation. Drinking water, there's a lot of variation. Are you drinking the tap water? Are you drinking bottled water? There's a lot of things, and there's really no cookbooks with recipes and, hey, follow this for Wilson's disease. So you're left a bit on your own.
Well, you were bumping into 25 years having been diagnosed with Wilson disease. What is still the number one question you have about the copper content of food?
I think just where should you really look for it? What is the real answer? And every gastroenterologist, every dietitian has a different suggestion. And I think you have to take it as individual, and what is right for one person might not be right for another. Certain people have the neurological symptoms, and they can tell directly an effect based on what they eat. Myself, I don't know. If I eat lobster, I will have no symptoms, but how does it affect my liver and my lab tests when I have them?
Well, Laura, that's why we're here today. And that's why we're having this webinar to try to get a handle on some of these questions, what we know, what we don't know. Thank you so much. And let the show continue.
Thank you.